evolution, a deliberate yet subliminal process for all but humankind. We cannot wait.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
He is on the move.
Coming up, a British invention for inflatable loudspeakers is making waves in the audio and marketing world. The blow-up speakers are light, easy to carry, and have quality sound output. These people of the developing world made contact with the rest of the world through this man, the inventor of the clockwork radio. International web designers have been gathering in London to discuss the future of the net, in both business and design terms. They're meeting at a special exhibition at London's Design Museum. A revolutionary new machine which monitors illicit drugs from fingernail clippings has been developed by scientists. And we take a look at advanced microsensors, enhancing the health of spacefaring vehicles and those who may one day fly them. Those stories and more coming right up. Over the past decades, man has struggled to see beyond the atmosphere that lies between Earth and space. Even from mountaintop observatories, the atmosphere has blurred our view of the universe. And because the atmosphere absorbs certain forms of energy, our knowledge of celestial phenomena has been limited. The most obvious solution has been to go beyond the atmosphere. In fact, between the 60s and the late 70s, NASA launched a series of special-purpose observatories, revealing previously unknown sources of ultraviolet radiation, such as newly born stars and stars going into supernova. These satellites made tremendous breakthroughs and encouraged scientists to go on to larger observatories seeking answers about more distant galaxies, mysterious pulsars and quasars, and the very nature of the universe itself. Astronomers envision the next step, a multi-purpose observatory in space. One that could image further and more clearly than its predecessors. One that could uncover phenomena in ultraviolet, visible and infrared ranges of the electromagnetic spectrum. An observatory that could expand our perception to the outer reaches of the universe. That next step was HST, NASA's Hubble Space Telescope, complete with its precision optics and diverse array of scientific instruments. NASA is responsible for developing, operating and maintaining this grand-sized space observatory. With its unparalleled goals, the Hubble Space Telescope posed a much greater challenge to operate than ground-based observatories or the limited-function space telescopes that had come before it. To investigate the complexities of the Hubble project, NASA established the Space Telescope Science Institute. Every year since the Hubble's been launched, the Institute has received over 1,000 proposals from scientists and institutions around the world interested in studying the vast expanses of our galaxy. But with only limited observation time, a committee of scientists regularly whittled this figure down to some 200, and scientific partnerships were established to detail the observations. The quality of the instruments on board, the results have been quite spectacular. One of the most important factors allowing the Hubble to accurately pinpoint its celestial subject matter is giving it information about guide stars. To establish these guide stars for operations, the Institute converted 1,500 photographic plates of the sky into a catalogue of some 15 million stars. Using the catalogue, the Institute's computer would select guide stars for each target. The Hubble then stabilized on a target by finding and locking onto two of these guide stars with its precision guidance sensors. These sensors can also detect any minor drift and adjust the satellite's position accordingly. From the Institute, the Hubble's observation schedule is then transmitted to the Space Telescope Operations Control Center, the satellite's Earth-based nerve center. From there, the Hubble's many intricate operations can be monitored and adjusted. The Hubble schedule is planned into such fine detail that a second-by-second breakdown of functions is available to the NASA controllers. Importantly, the spacecraft's safety is also monitored at the control center. In the early days, however, all operations were under human control, therefore subject to human error. Since then, an artificial intelligence unit has been assigned the daunting task of monitoring the Hubble's physical integrity and its many intricate operations. The launching of mankind's most advanced space telescope proved to be a project of incredible planning and remarkable accuracy. In the microgravity of space, the delicate articulator of the space shuttle gently launched the Hubble on its mission of discovery. Once positioned some 700 kilometers above the Earth, the telescope's solar panels were deployed to take advantage of the free energy source and to minimize the drain on batteries. All the while, controllers frantically monitored every function. Over the next few months, all instruments were calibrated and systems checked to be fully operational. To control the satellite once in space, relayed messages from control travel an intricate path and an equally complicated route to give feedback to its earthbound controllers. Once commands were loaded into its computers, the telescope automatically proceeded with its observations. Light from the targeted source enters the telescope and is focused through a series of mirrors. Image is then directed to Hubble's fine guidance sensors, which locate and lock onto guide stars on either side of the target. With the telescope now centered on its target, the light travels into the science instruments proper to make their observations. While most observations were pre-planned, NASA found approximately 10% needed to be controlled in real time by the Institute's scientists. For example, when the Hubble observed the red spot on Jupiter, the operation was required to allow for the trajectory of the planet as well as its axial rotation. Clearly, a challenging operation. Naturally, all the data collected by Hubble was and still remains of great importance to the scientific community. In 1 year, NASA estimated that it disseminated, by various means, a staggering 500 million pages of information gleaned from its adventurous space observatory. And it's from this data that our knowledge of the universe has been growing exponentially. Being of such critical importance, Hubble's designers didn't want malfunction to set back the progress of the mission. Unlike earlier ventures that required costly and sometimes dangerous repair work. Subsequently, Hubble's design is a modular one that allows astronauts to simply remove and replace faulty components. Hubble's development, launch and implementation can be compared in complexity and challenge to the operations required to land astronauts on the moon. The expertise of thousands of individuals has contributed to the innovative scientific instruments, computer systems, information systems and maintenance hardware that constitute the Hubble Space Telescope's operations network. Of course, nothing less would be expected if we are to explore the frontiers of our physical universe with any confidence or a surety of success. One of Britain's great inventors, Trevor Baylis, lives on idyllic Eel Pie Island in the middle of the River Thames. He's famous for his invention of the wind-up radio. He's also calling for an Academy of Inventions to be established to help people with new, innovative ideas. It was at his home here that he first came up with the idea for the clockwork radio, a device that works without the use of electricity or batteries. It was pictures such as these which first caught Trevor's imagination and led to the invention of the wind-up radio. Lack of electricity and high levels of poverty in Africa made Trevor think of how he could help spread valuable education and information. Trevor's idea proved successful, and relief agencies have been distributing the radios throughout Africa ever since. Trevor filed for a patent and then had 4 horrendous years trying to bring his idea to marketplace, the worst years of his life. He was talked down to, laughed at and greeted with derision. Trevor's been recognised throughout the world. He's received the OBE and now enjoys the success, meeting notable people like Nelson Mandela, appearing on the television programme This Is Your Life and having his story published. Trevor spent 3 years working on a prototype and in 1994 produced a final radio which he shopped around to potential investors for another year. This is the first clockwork radio. It originally had an ordinary key, but it would take a minute to wind up. He put a starter handle type key on, and then within 30 seconds was able to get the first radio to run for 14 minutes. They're being distributed in Afghanistan in the hope that the people will listen to a variety of radio stations. The wind-up radio has also found its way to Albania and Kosovo. Trevor's idea has proved invaluable. The wind-up radio is having far-reaching effects. This is the first prototype of a solar-powered clockwork radio. There's a solar frame and a torch and an early mobile phone that Trevor played around with. This idea has been further developed. Again, a solar panel feature on a smaller, compact model with a handle on the front, but this time the power is dumped into an accumulator which is built into the machine. In order to protect the rights of up-and-coming inventors, Trevor's calling for the establishment of an Academy of Inventions. The idea is to set out professional channels for people with new ideas to register their work and develop their product. His latest invention centres on a shoe which charges a mobile phone battery when you walk. The shoe and battery have already been put to the test during a 100-mile walk across the Namib Desert in order to raise funds for a charity. Trevor, once a professional swimmer and a stuntman, continues to potter away at his home on the river, working on all kinds of ideas that come to mind. Another favourite area of interest is his constant invention of household goods that will help disabled people perform everyday duties.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Traditional loudspeakers come in large, heavy boxes that create an air enclosure to cushion unwanted vibrations and provide a fuller sound. The new inflatable speakers developed by Eyewitnesses Sounds has fine-tuned this technology, eliminating the need for the usual heavy enclosures. The way that this product differs is that it creates multi-directional stereo sound, so you get a good clear sound and good volume. But also, the speaker can deflate so it becomes compact and lightweight, enabling you to travel and use it with your laptop, your MP3 player, or maybe on the beach. Apart from their most obvious use, Eyewitnesses Sound is marketing the inexpensive speakers as a promotional tool for businesses. Companies can have a product which suits their particular brand to help promotion. The inflatable loudspeakers went on sale in the UK in December 2001. Eyewitnesses Sounds is now opening offices in New York and Japan and hopes to make the product available globally in 2002. Web designers are nothing short of heroes to millions of web design fans all over the world. For the fans, this exhibition is where the most technically and aesthetically innovative designs are. Over the last 5 years, the web has become a global medium. It's also available to be added to by millions of people, and so design is as important in this as in any other medium. The location for the exhibition is the Design Museum in central London, famous for its dynamic exhibitions of contemporary design. One of the most important roles of the Design Museum is to showcase a whole generation of young web design stars who are driving innovation in the field. The future of the web, especially over the next 5 years, is expected to be revolutionary. It may not be anything like the present data. Many believe the virtual reality concept and WAP technology are mere blips in the journey to the future. One thing is certain, everything is going to change. Simple nail clippings, yet they can hold the key to drug detection. Dr. Nicholas Lemos cleans the nails in various solutions. The advantage of the new method is that the clippings provided are easy to obtain compared with blood and urine samples. It's also a very sensitive process. The machine grinds the samples into a very fine powder, and using a neutral chemical treatment, it's possible to detect whether the samples come from a prescribed morphine user or an illicit heroin addict. The samples are milled in the machine at very low temperatures using liquid nitrogen. The resulting powder is then ready for the final analysis. The method is accurate, easy to facilitate, and has widespread applications for future use. Although still in the very early stages, it's expected that this will become one of the primary methods of drug testing at the workplace for chronic drug use, for athletes, and also for drug addicts. The powdered clippings are finally mixed with a solution, and the results can be read off a computer screen. Dr. Lemos and his team report widespread interest from around the world in the new procedure.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Being able to determine the condition of components like the shuttle's main engines is critical, and that's the primary goal for this NASA-sponsored research effort at the University of Cincinnati. A team of faculty members and graduate students is developing a series of microsensors to indicate the health of spacefaring vehicles. Almost everything visible here is just packaging used in testing. The sensor itself is just a tiny speck in the center. Viewing one of these sensors under a microscope reveals their sophistication. Advanced micro-machine techniques make it possible to include valves, heaters, or even motors in a device with a diameter less than that of a human hair. The goal is to embed these tiny flow sensors into the walls of critical shuttle engines and system components to ensure they're functioning properly. The sensors are so small that even if one came loose, it would have a negligible impact on engine performance. Researchers are also working on vibration and crack detection sensors for other parts of the shuttle, which could point out existing defects or indicate fatigue in high-stress areas where problems might occur. There are myriad potential spin-off applications for microsensors like these. Researchers at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center are already exploring their use in the care of premature infants. A significant number of preemies suffer respiratory disorder, and many must be connected to a ventilator around the clock. But setting the ventilator remains a relatively imprecise science, and improper oxygen levels can contribute to more severe problems, including damage to the brain. The medical researchers are studying the possibility of putting a microsensor inside the plastic tube inserted in a baby's trachea. Advanced microsensors, enhancing the health of spacefaring vehicles and those who may one day fly them.